From P-plates to handbrake starts to stress and anxiety and the eternal struggle to find a driving test in 2025. You lot have asked your questions. I've got the answers. This is Ask an Instructor round 2. Let's get into it. Good intro. Here's how this works. If you've subscribed to the channel and turned notifications on, then you'll get a ping when I put a post on the community tab. Those posts are things like when people that are featured on the channel pass their driving tests, or when there's a new round of Ask an Instructor, this video series. Again, there's been a lot of questions, so I've picked the 15 best ones that I think will help the most people. I'm gonna get through them quick fire. Question 1. Let's paint the picture. Imagine this is a driving test center and I'm here for a driving test. Where you will be is handbrake on and car in neutral, because you've just got in the car with the examiner. What they'll next ask you to do is either a maneuver or drive on. I'll be honest, I'm not exactly sure what a handbrake start is, because I think that's a niche term that only your instructor uses, or I've never heard before anyway. So where you will be starting on your driving test is handbrake on and car in neutral. Then you're gonna have to move on. So you're gonna go first gear, whether you're doing a maneuver or just setting off, and then handbrake off to set off, right? Ask them if your instructor means a hill start. Some test centers are on a hill, unfortunately, so you'll have to do a hill start to set off. But every driving test starts off with a handbrake start, because you've got the handbrake on and you need to start, right? So that shouldn't be anything different to what you're usually used to. Should be quite simple. It's just literally setting off. You've got the handbrake on, you take it off, you move on. Question 2. Just to confirm, securing the car means putting the handbrake on and going into neutral. You are correct. Your instructor should be using similar terminology to what your examiners are going to use. Securing the car means make the car secure. Make it so that you can take your feet off the pedals and relax. So when the car's secured, nothing can happen. Now we can't roll up and down a hill. We can't set off by accident because the car's in neutral and we've got the handbrake on. If you're in an automatic, though, that will be park and handbrake. Question 3, let's go. I like this question a lot, and there's always a question about clutch control on any Q&A that I do. So when you're coming up to something like a giveaway line like this, you should be putting the clutch down because you're coming to a stop. But I'm guessing what exactly you're talking about. That was a horrible MSPSL, oh my days. What you're gonna be talking about is when you're turning into a junction or coming up to a roundabout. So let's do that. You can easily eliminate unnecessary clutch by doing your MSPSL and do it at every single junction. So let's say all I've ever wanted in life is to take the next road on the left, or your examiner's asked you to. Mirrors, signal, positioning sorted. I'm next gonna do gears. Well, speed, and speed also includes gears. I've decided I'm gonna take that corner in second gear, and then my clutch comes straight back up again. Let's do that again. I'm gonna take a tighter corner, so I actually have to change gear. So mirrors, signal, positioning's great. Speed, I'm judging that to be a first gear corner, so I've gone into first gear and I've lifted the clutch back up and I'm turning in. It's gonna be the same with roundabouts. As you're approaching the roundabout, do mirrors, signal, position. And when you say speed, judge how fast you can approach that roundabout. It's normally gonna be in second gear. So you'll get into second gear, lift the clutch up, and then if you have to stop at the roundabout, boom. Imagine this as a roundabout. We've gone into first gear. I like this question a lot. My mum's very worried about my steering because I sometimes cross my arms or hold the steering wheel lightly, but I feel totally in control and I find it the most comfortable. She's really scared I'm gonna fail my test because of this. Demonstration, let's go! That's a pass on the driving test. Swear to God. So this is the problem with learning with like friends or family, mum or dad. They would probably train 2 centuries ago and their system of driving or the way they were taught is very different to how the driving test is now. Steering on a driving test is really simple. Here's the rules. If you're in control of the car and it's doing what you intended and what you intend is safe, it's absolutely fine. So you can steer with one hand, you can steer with 2 hands, here, or here. You can do literally whatever you want with the steering. I get this question a lot, which is why I made a whole YouTube video to answer it. It's here if you want the full explanation of exactly what you can and can't do on a driving test in terms of steering. Watch that, it will help. Or actually get your mum to watch it because she's the one that needs it. Okay, this one's a good question. I have a slight problem. Someone hit my wing mirror on a meeting situation when they were doing 30 miles an hour. That's worrying. And I get how incidents on driving lessons can dent your confidence, but it's like anything else in driving. The best way to get over it, the best way to be more confident in something, in not even just driving, in anything in life, is to do it more. Go up and down one road that's got a ton of meeting situations on it. 5, 10, 20 times. Spend a whole, if you learn with like friends or family, this is great. You can just go up and down the road for like 2 hours. Do it more at slow speed so that you can be confident your positioning is uber accurate. And Krista, you're in the members area. I actually did a really good video about meeting situations because I had this question a few times from a few different people. So I did a members video where I just drove up and down a road with meeting situations on it loads of times. If you want to watch that and you haven't already, then click that here. And if you're not in the members, soz. But it's just a members video, it's right here. And actually, I've never talked about it on the main channel before, but I have a members area in this YouTube channel where you can ask me questions and I'll probably give you a video demonstration. Or I'll upload driving lessons that I do with people, like Annie's driving lessons. The members saw that when it was happening, but Annie was so popular that everyone can watch it now, it's just public. The YouTube members area is the space for longer stuff, unedited mock tests, stuff that goes down in this car that's maybe not quite right for the main channel, but still has loads of educational value, plus behind the scenes of when I travel around random different places. So if you're interested, get in there. Next question, it's just Liv. I fully got you with this one. When I first started teaching people how to drive, I used to teach over in Morden and there was this mega hard roundabout called Rose Hill Roundabout. If you know Morden, you know Rose Hill Roundabout. And it's a spiral roundabout and nobody could get it. It was so complicated. It kept me up at night, literally. How can I explain this roundabout the best way possible? And this is what I used to say to people. Insert clip of a spiral roundabout here. When you're spiraling around a roundabout, think of it like tram tracks. You're a tram and the white lines are the tram tracks. Because you're on rails, you can't go outside the tram tracks. You must stay within the tram tracks. So watch the floor and watch the white lines. Sometimes the one on the right disappears, sometimes the one on the left disappears, but there will always be a white line there to guide you to where you need to be. Make sure you start in the correct lane and keep to that lane and spiral outwards when the roundabout asks you to spiral, and then it will spit you out in the correct place. Spiral roundabouts are great, but it takes a second to get used to them first. I feel slightly triggered by this next question from Ali. Is getting a manual license worth it now, considering most cars are automatic? Well, obviously I'm gonna say yes, because I love driving a manual, and automatics are like, I've had automatic like lease cars or hire cars before, and it's always like, why is the car changing gear there? I didn't want to change it. It's just annoying. It's just annoying. Oh, damn it. Oh no. This isn't what I intended. Anyway, this gives me a good opportunity to explain the stats and facts. So yes, now most car sales, new car sales are automatic. I think it's like 56% of all new cars sold are automatic cars. But the entire car population of the UK is 70% manual. And let's be honest, when you pass your driving test, you're not going to be buying a brand new car. You're going to be buying a second-hand car because a new car's like 30 grand. That's nuts money. Like, cool, I get it. If you just want to get a car to get you to the shops, to get you to work, to get you to school, you know for a fact you're never going to want to borrow someone else's car. You know you're never going to go on holiday and like borrow someone's car. It's just literally, I want a car that sits outside my house that takes me to the shops. Automatic makes sense. It makes sense. I get why people buy them. Also, if you're in a city, stop-start traffic, automatic makes sense. They're easier to drive if you don't really care about driving. But if there's even 1% of a chance, 1% that you're ever gonna wanna borrow your mum, dad, mate's car, or go on holiday and hire a car, or if there's even a chance you're gonna wanna sign up to Zipcar or any other car share scheme, you should definitely get a manual license. Of course, driving an automatic car is proper driving. All that's different is that the car is doing the gears automatically for you. You're still driving, you still have the skill of driving, but if that's all that's different, if that's all extra that you need to learn, and you've got the ability and the capacity to learn that, man, for like the 2 or 3 extra lessons, do it properly, get the full license instead of a restricted license, and then you've got all of the scope to do whatever in the future. Christina, this is a brilliant question. What's my opinion on the Pass Plus course? So Pass Plus used to be a really good thing. It's a thing that you can do with your driving instructor to take extra lessons in like bad weather conditions, motorway, town, rural driving, all of it. So like you've got a much more well-rounded experience of driving than if you'd have just passed your driving test. It's a course that you can do after you pass your driving test. And it's just a little thing that you can do with your driving instructor. They issue you a Pass Plus certificate and then you can tell your insurance company you've done Pass Plus. But there's a problem with it. I don't know whether it's because there was loads of corruption and people would just pay money and the driving instructor would write out Pass Plus certificates without actually doing the course, or if insurance companies are just tight now. But the level of insurance discount that you get now from doing a Pass Plus course is minuscule, and it definitely won't be more than you would actually pay for getting a Pass Plus certificate off your driving instructor. So I don't really see the point of it anymore. Sorry, like this should be a good scheme to make people better drivers, and once you're a better driver then you get discounts on your insurance, which is great. We all need insurance discounts, but it's just not the case anymore. So I'm against Pass Plus courses, but I'm definitely for taking extra practice. after you pass your driving test. Like whatever you need practice on, just get that from your driving instructor. Like if you know that you're going to drive on a motorway and you've never driven on a motorway on a driving lesson, then definitely hit up your instructor to get some extra practice on that. And don't just take my word for it, go and compare the marketconfused.com, any of the insurance price comparison websites, put in all of your details without a Pass Plus certificate, and then put in all of your details exactly the same again with a Pass Plus certificate. And tell me the discount in the comments. It's gonna be stupid. Kitty Davies, good question. I like it. Picasso. That meme's so old. I passed a few weeks ago. My driving instructor told me not to use P-plates. My parents have suggested I use P-plates. I've driven a few times solo. I definitely think you learn more on your own, but I've had a few scary situations. Would P-plates have helped? Views on this one vary wildly. And my opinion on P-plates is really simple. I use L-plates a lot because I teach people how to drive. They have to use L-plates. And I find when there's L-plates on my car and I'm driving, people treat me very differently to how they treat me when I'm in incognito mode and there's no L-plates on my car. People try and overtake me when I'm doing 20 in a 20 zone. People beep, they're very impatient. Nobody lets you out at a junction when you're trying to emerge. So I would recommend, from just personal experience, not using P-plates, because then you just blend into the traffic. And I think I've diagnosed why this is a problem. Let me pull over. You know when you're like younger and you're playing computer games and your little brother's like, oh, let me have a go at that one. And so you pass them the controller and they're messing it up hard. And then you get frustrated and you're like, oh, just give it back to me. I'll do it. I feel like it's the same kind of feeling that people get when they see someone with L or P plates on their car. If you take a second too long to do anything, they're like, oh, they're rubbish at driving, let me just overtake. Or, oh, there's someone with L plates or P plates, let me not sit behind them by letting them out in traffic. Same as how people treat bus drivers. Everyone knows bus drivers drive slowly and stop frequently, so nobody wants to sit behind a bus driver, so people are much more impatient with them. I think the main thing to think about when you're considering using P plates though is how it will make you feel. If by having P's on your car and letting people know that you're an inexperienced driver will make you feel better inside, then do it. Because then in turn that will make you more confident. It will make you more comfortable on the road. But if it won't have that effect on you, then probably just leave it so that you're just another incognito driver on the road. I did a really good video quite a long time ago, but it's still relevant. Watch this next if you're thinking about using P-plates, because I discussed P-plates and I was still against it, but in the comments section is where it's interesting because everybody's experiences of using P-plates is so wildly different. So give that one a watch next if this is your question, and look in the comments section and just decide from everyone's experiences, personal experiences of using them, whether it's right for you or not. Okay, welcome to Lidl for the next two questions. Any tips on parking without references, as I sometimes find it confusing and I get my reference points mixed up? Thank you, Caitlin. And any tips for parking on left forward bay without using those sticker things? I made a good TikTok about instructors using sticker things. Ick. But also, I think that reference points are really useful. When you're learning to drive, it's difficult to do maneuvers. It's much quicker to learn them with reference points. And then when you're on your driving test, you don't have to think about angles and maths. Maths is hard. You just line it up with the point, you turn a certain amount and it gets parked. So reference points are really useful. So perhaps what you could do is write down your reference points for each maneuver. It helps you to lodge things into your brain when you write them down. I also did a really good video about all of the maneuvers. It's here, watch it, because then when you're not in control of a car, it's much easier to intake information and process it and store it. So that might help you as well. I would suggest, unless you're really confident, don't try and do a non-reference point method on your driving test for your maneuvers, just because it requires so much more thinking and there's so much more scope to mess it up than when you use reference points. And then once you've passed your driving test, you're like a legit driver. So then you can still use reference points, but then start to adapt it to your own style. And then you've done it so many times with the reference point, you realize that one day you stop using the reference points and you're just parking like everyone else. It's great. But yes, any tips for forward bay parking without stickers? Absolutely. In my video about how to park all 4 driving test maneuvers, I'll give you this reference point and it's super simple. You line up your wing mirror and put it on top of the bay there that you're parking into. Check, signal, move, then steer, and you'll get into the bay every single time. Also, let me just say as well, the video that I talked about all 4 driving test maneuvers is really good because I give it to you from every single angle, including drone shots, so you can really work out the mechanics of what is exactly happening with the car. I'll also link it in the description so that you can watch it next. This next question is really good. Lucky I'm still in Lidl. Why has my driver taught me to start the car with just the clutch? It's a petrol car too. Okay, here's how it works. If you're just starting out on lessons, your instructor will probably teach you to set off with just the clutch alone. And you can do that with a petrol car, you can. It's easier with a diesel, but you can do it with a petrol. But once you get more proficient in your driving and you want to start doing fast starts, like you're setting off from traffic lights and stuff, that's when you should incorporate setting off with the gas and clutch, no matter whether you're learning diesel or petrol. It's the way I teach it anyway. So when you first start moving off and stopping, or taking really slow junctions, we're not doing anything quickly. And the multitasking of doing two opposite things with your feet is mind bending. So to teach that at the start is just gonna make the whole process take a lot longer. So learn one thing first, then add another layer of skill on top. Learn the clutch, then layer it up with another skill of adding gas later when you've got clutch control mastered. So let me demonstrate. I'm gonna turn the pedal cam on. I'm in first gear. This car's petrol. They don't make diesel or baths. Handbrake's off. I can move the car slowly with just the clutch. You can see my brake and accelerator is nowhere to be seen. You can move the car with just the clutch. And if you're doing really slow speed stuff, then you should just be probably using the clutch. Adding gas doesn't do anything. Let me add loads of gas. I can still move the car really slowly. It doesn't do anything extra for me. The reason that you're going to want to add gas to it is if you want to start setting off quickly from traffic lights, from roundabouts, like we want to set off abruptly and quickly into a roundabout. So that's when that's really useful. Even if your instructor's diesel and they haven't taught you how to do fast starts, that's still lazy, because when you pass, petrol cars are cheaper, you're more likely to buy a petrol car. So when you drive, like you've learned to drive on a diesel, your instructor's car, and then you buy a really tiny petrol Fiat 500 with a tiny engine, and then you can't drive it. I've actually done lessons with people, loads, who are like, I've bought my car, I can't drive it, what do I do? And I'm like, I literally can show you one thing and you'll then be able to drive it. And it's just setting off with the gas. It's just lazy diesel instructors. God, I need to stop calling out instructors on this channel, but it's true, it's lazy. Stop teaching people just to set off with the clutch. Just because you've got a diesel, they won't when they pass. I've actually got a video about that too. Watch it, it's here. I'll link it in the description. All of the videos that I'm talking about, I'll link in the description. So after you've watched this, then you can watch that later. Okay, this next one's a good question. It's serious, the seatbelt's coming off. How to overcome stress and anxiety freezing you and affecting your judgment during the test. I think like half of the battle of your driving test comes down to your confidence, your self-belief. So whenever I teach people, like if you've been watching Annie's series, a lot of what we do together isn't how to drive. Annie can clearly drive. Like if you've got your driving test coming up, you can clearly drive. But what the issue is the belief in yourself to say, I'm a sick driver, I'm a confident driver. Like I've said this metaphor before, if I asked you to do a teeth brushing test or a toothbrushing test, how confident would you be? Hey, I'm gonna test you. Brush your teeth for 2 minutes and I'm watch you. You'll be like, all right, cool. Or a walking test, you know you can walk. But it's a driving test and you haven't had that confirmation yet. You haven't been doing it for years or enough hours to have that confidence to say, I'm sick at this, watch me. So you have to give yourself that self-belief. Sit in front of the mirror after a driving lesson and go, was that good? What could I have improved? So XYZ was good, ABC I could have improved. And you have to recognize your wins. You have to recognize the places and spaces that you're really good at driving. Ask yourself one question, especially in a mirror, this is really effective. Can you drive? Yes. Then I can pass a driving test. It's literally just a test of if you can drive. If you can drive, then you can pass a driving test. And the more confidence, the more you do this to yourself to build up your self-image of driving, then the easier your driving test is going to be, swear down. And the driving test doesn't have to be perfect. I can make 15 mistakes and still pass. So my lessons don't have to be perfect either. Was I safe? Was I in control? Did I follow the rules? Yes. Then my driving is ace. Hey, can you drive? Yes, I can. Can I pass a driving test then, which is just driving? Yes, I can. You have to do this to yourself. You have to big yourself up. A great driving instructor isn't just about teaching. It's about also instilling confidence. Strongly believe that to be true, because driving is nerve-wracking. The more your instructor can big you up and say, you're sick at this. Damn, you've got that. How was that roundabout? That was so good. The more you're going to have the confidence to go and show a driving examiner, show a complete stranger. And if you've been watching any series, you'll recognize this, and hopefully you can see it in yourself as well. I started to test her and say, how was that roundabout? And she'd say, oh, what did I mess up on? Oh, damn. And I say, no, it was great. And then eventually we got to a point where I'd say, how was that junction? And she'd say, yeah, that was boss. That was great. I smashed that. That's the point where you need to get to. And hopefully you've got a motivational, inspirational driving instructor too. Oh, that sounds so gross. That was so blow my own trumpet. But like, I hope that that's your situation. And if it's not, then be your own biggest cheerleader. That was a great question. Last question from Ange. I'm struggling to get a test and I've had over 40 hours of lessons. You, Ange, are in the same situation as all of the drivers or learner drivers in the UK. Unfortunately, like, we're in this crazy situation where you just can't get a driving test. What the government are doing to address this is not working. They're doing all of the wrong things and blaming all of the wrong people. So firstly, the answer was instructors are bringing people to the test that aren't ready. So they invented a system where if you get enough fails, you then get retested as an instructor. Then it was learners coming to this test when they're not ready. So they changed some stuff there. Then it was the problem, like, hey, look inwards. This is your problem. When we left the disease that scoured the nation, we had the exact same problem with theory tests. And Pearson, the company that ran theory tests, solved it so simply. They shoved loads more computers into the computer rooms where theory tests are conducted and got through the backlog, and now you can get a theory test in like 2-3 weeks, no problem. But you can't do that with driving tests because you'd need to shove loads more examiners into each driving test centre. And to be able to shove more examiners, we need to recruit more examiners. And to recruit more examiners, more people have to want to be examiners. Oh my God, like, the answer is simple. The first problem is loads of examiners are leaving. You've all seen the TikTok accounts of Jason, he's an ex-examiner. Leon is an ex-examiner. They're great people, but I don't blame them. Being an examiner is a rubbish job and it doesn't pay very well. So firstly, we need to make it pay very well, and then we need to make it a really good job. More people will then want to do it. To answer your question, Ange, like, it's just a difficult situation and it's frustrating for everyone. You're not alone. Everybody's in this boat. I did a video about how to find a driving test in 2025. It's got all of my best hints and tips. Like, do you know what? I disagree with it, but if you need to find a reseller and you've got the money, do it, because there's no other option. There's hardly any other option, but I lay out every single option that you've got to find a driving test in this video. I hope it helps you, and you have to do whatever you have to do. Forget about morals, forget about what's right, what's wrong, because what's right is the government fixing this. What's wrong is that they're not doing anything about it. So whatever you have to do to find a driving test, I say go for it. Sick, that's the end of the questions for today. I'm gonna go and lie down because that was heated. What you need to do now is subscribe to the channel. I tell you what, subscribe to the channel anyway because it's free and it helps me loads. It helps me to bring you better content, helps me to bring you better videos. I promise it helps loads and it costs you nothing. The other reason to subscribe is that you will be notified as soon as I put a post up on the community tab asking for questions. So if you've got a question, you can put it there. And if you're thinking, oh, should I ask that question? I guarantee there's 1,000 other people who are thinking the same thing. You'll probably be helping not just you, but everybody else by asking that question too. So thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate all of you so much because it means that I get to do this as a job, which is absolutely insane. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, peace, love you, bye.